Today's video was made possible by Buddy RC. I have to say a big thanks out to Buddy RC. You can check their link out below if you want to buy one of these. This is the T3 HD digital video system for FPV aircraft, 7-inch, and I'd say bigger, as well as fixed wing if you want to fly INAV, things like that. And we'll talk about all the features and kind of some things that this one has that DJI doesn't have, and walk, snail, and caddx. So pretty interesting features on this one, including a little bit of AI. So let's go ahead and jump into the review and the flight test. Today, I have a brand new digital HD FPV system from a new company that you've never seen before. It is going to be sort of a DJI alternative or a walk, snail, caddx alternative, maybe an HD0 alternative. But what it really is for guys who fly larger FPV drones, like something like 7 to 7.5 inch, 8, 9, 10 inch, as well as even like a 15 inch or something like that. And the reason is because there is about a 60 millisecond delay in the VRX to the goggles. So from the transmitter to the receiver, there is some delay, and we're going to talk about that in this review and what this system is appropriate for. So right out the gate, like not appropriate for something like a 5-inch. You want to stick to walk, snail, or something that's more real time for FPV freestyle. So if you're a guy who likes to set up long range FPV planes, things like that, that's definitely me. I love that stuff. And I also love long range FPV quads. Now, will this work down low at a distance, down into the trees, as good as something like DJI systems? No, but I am going to test the penetration in this review as far as getting behind the trees, the thick evergreens, and we're going to do some big open field flying, some flips and rolls, and some dives and things like that to see how this video system can kind of stack up against the other competitors out there. And the HD competitors are pretty well founded. So we're going to see how this works out. I did install it on the Foxeer RS7 right here. It's has enough length with the camera wire from the air unit in the very back. They also call it an air unit. This is the item here. That's the air unit. You can see there's a VTX in the very back, and you have SD card support on there as well, which is pretty cool. You can wire it straight up to your VBAT terminals on your flight controller, and then you can run the camera all the way up to the front. But really, it doesn't seem to be a lot different looking and size-wise to something like an 03 or an 04 camera. Might even be a little bit smaller than DJI's 04 camera. But we're gonna find out what it looks like in the goggles. I have it already wired up to my Sky Zones. So, and this is the VRX, what they call the VRX Edge Smart Drive. It has a power button on the side right here. It has a USB-C port for charging the internal battery, which I think is pretty cool. It does have a physical fan on here, which is really nice. It is a little bit loud, and it's going to be right next to your face. It also has these two giant sort of all-in-one patch antennas right here. These are left-hand circular polarized antennas that go to the VTX on the back of this quad right here. You can see these are left-hand circular polarized antennas here. So these can unscrew if you want them to, and they can both come off. You also, not included in the box, which was kind of annoying, that they don't have the USB-C connector here. This side has USB-C video out. So your video is going to go out in here, and then you're going to select HDMI in your Sky Zone. So HDMI in right there, plug that in, and you'll have to buy this cable separately. It did not come with the T3 digital video transmitter. Now this is the T3 air unit. It looks pretty similar to what the DJI 04 air unit looks like. The Pro version is sort of a flat type of design here, and it's not actually very heavy. It is around 13 grams, so it's not going to add a lot of weight to your builds. It has an aperture at f1.9. It has a 120-degree field of view for the camera, which, you know, again, the camera looks similar to like the 03s, but the VTX itself also can handle micro SD card up to like 128 gigabyte, micro SD card is here. And just on the other side of that is the bind button. If you want to bind it up to the VRX, for some reason it's not bound up, just press the VRX bind button and this one here, and they will link up together, and it'll go solid green there. So resolution on the DVR on the SD card is 1080p by 60 frames per second, which I think is pretty cool. It also has a 16:9 sensor. I don't know if that bugs some people, but that's what the camera module is set up to do. Now, it does say that it is also, if you have an optional lens option, which will allow you to have a little bit wider field of view at around 155 degrees field of view. Now you have some other options on here as well. In the very back, now this was interesting to me because the wires that they used were all black all the way across, and I believe there's 6 wires in the harness that hook up to your flight controller. The wire was plenty long to reach all the way to the flight controller, even on a 7-inch, which is great. So something like a fixed wing will have plenty of length if you need it. But the issue was that you really had to follow along with the schematic inside the T3 VTX quick start guide, because they are quite small. And again, you probably will need some type of magnifying glass to be able to see this schematic, but you can see it there. On the very right hand side is where you can see the power, the ground, the serial, and RX and TX. And if you don't see your OSD pop up at first and you know you have it on the right port, you want to switch the TX and RX wires on the flight controller. So just a little tip, very similar to ELRS. So you got really only 4 wires that you're going to be using, because the other options on there are RX and RC, and those 2 you're not really going to need for hooking up to Betaflight. So RC, it's also the S-Bus output. If you're going to use S-Bus, you have the option to do that. And then, then you can use it like an S-Bus receiver. Now, real quickly, a few more things about the T3 VRX ground unit. It does have some features on here that are way different than anything I've seen DJI do. So number one, it has immediate support for having these hook into analog goggles. If you have some type of input inside some other goggles that have an HDMI in, you can do that on just about any goggles out there, as long as that's selectable inside your goggles. So that's pretty cool. A versatility with different goggles is awesome. Now, the next thing it really has that sets it apart is that it can also kind of see what's coming and adjust to what's coming as far as your breakup and your feed goes. So increase power, decrease power, and that is done through AI imaging. It does have built-in AI imaging on here, which kind of sees things coming and increases or decreases power as you're flying, which is kind of a cool feature. So I did notice that the imaging was changing in my goggles as I was flying. So if you see some video from the VTX DVR, you won't see any of that, but you'll see it in the goggles. They also are boasting a 35-kilometer distance, so that's pretty far for people who are flying long range. And it can also have, looks like about 120 Mbps on here as well. And then again, like Type-C charging for the internal battery, 1S 5000 milliamp battery inside there, and it should run for a pretty long time. And you have the option to do future firmware updates with USB-C cable as well. So I think with all that said, and some of this stuff that we've shown you, I want to see what this thing flies like. So we're going to go out together. I'm going to test this in real time with you, and we're going to do a bunch of different stuff with a kind of a 7-inch drone. And that's what I believe this system belongs on, honestly. A 7-inch or bigger, or any fixed wing. I think that's going to be the best option for this particular HD video system. All right, my friend, welcome to the field. We're going to test the T3 HD digital video system. This is my maiden flight, so oh my God, I almost lost it just then. We're flying together, and we're going to do this in real time. So this is my first experience. And so, right now I'm in stabilized mode because with the way I have this wired up through the flight controller, I'm not sure that the VTX is going to handle it. I'm worried about a brand new VTX or digital video system going out on me and blacking out, or something freezing up, or, you know, when you have something that's brand new that's never been tested before, it's kind of a terrifying thing to put something on an aircraft and fly it around before anyone else has. So this is basically a beta unit. It's a brand new unit that we've wired up, and I put it on a 7-inch by choice because I've heard some feedback from others out in the community that like it's better on larger type of aircraft, and that's what I'm trying to do here, is fly on a 7-inch for you guys, because I feel like I'm just worried that the latency would be too much for like a 5-inch FPV freestyle or racing drone. And there I'm seeing just a little bit of jello in my setup, and that's just probably the way I have the camera mounted. I have it kind of hard mounted to some TBU on the front of this drone. There's no soft silicone grommets. It may need some silicone grommets to be able to get rid of some of this jello here. But just some flips and rolls. Like, I don't feel that the latency is like super bad, but it's definitely not like the system that I would put on a freestyle quad by any means. And as far as like the latency goes, like DJI is definitely faster, but this is a penetration test right here behind this evergreen right here. A lot of my analog systems can't make it behind that tree right there. So that's a good test right behind the analog, the dead zone for analog behind that tree. Super thick. And we're also going to test it out in a few other ways in this review. We're going to do some low to the ground flying, which is very good to break up just about any VTX at range. And then we're also going to try a tree dive at some point if I get the if I get the courage to do that. But what I'm seeing so far is that the resolution on the camera, it reminds me a lot of the Walk Snail and HD0 systems. It does have a kind of a blue kind of hue to the sky up there. It's very blue hues on most of it, but the greens look pretty good. I'm just noticing there's a little bit of blue in this camera, but really fine detail and resolution. This is the HD system that a lot of us iNav and long range guys wished we had like 5 years ago. Just some kind of alternative HD system out there that is far along enough to be able to just, and I say far along enough, I mean in development, to be able to just slap on something and go fly. So I feel like confident that I could slap this on a 7-inch or something like absolutely a fixed wing. Like the latency would be absolutely fine on something that you're flying straight for a distance. And this video system will get up to 36 kilometers. So that's a pretty good range for a digital video system. Now we're going to try penetration test down behind these trees over here. So I got this whole line of trees right here between myself and the VRX, and I'm still getting video back with no breakup there. You can see my quad didn't even move or flinch as I was going through there. And I'm going to try to get this system to break up on me. And I can see that like something's happening when I get low to the ground. It does seem like it will go blurry across the whole screen for a second and then kind of come straight back. And that is the AI image sensor. But here you can kind of see some fine details. And again, another latency test right here where I'm just kind of slowly orbiting around this tree. Let's try a little bit of a dive here. And whoops, I kind of messed that up. But I got a little worried. I have a large 6S 8000 milliamp pack on here, so don't hate on me too much, because that was kind of I didn't want to have not enough throttle to pull out in this Maiden test too soon for you guys. So low to the ground again, like proximity in close with the 7-inch, and you know, it's a little, there's more breakup close to the ground, obviously, for sure, but I wanted to test that anyway. So I'm seeing some breakup, but I'm seeing the video return. And it's interesting, once I get up high, a couple more flips, double roll here, kind of get more confident with it. But as I get up higher, the video really clears up way up high. So a little double roll. Okay, so the latency's not terrible. If I was flying a fixed wing, for sure I could do loops and rolls, no problem. And I'm not losing video or seeing it stutter when I do flips and rolls. So that's a good sign. You know, later on we may put this on a 5-inch and see how it handles on a 5-inch. I'm not super confident that I could make power loops and gaps and all kinds of stuff like that with this video system, but as far as any HD systems that can fly on larger ones, larger quads and airplanes, this is like, it's not bad. I am not hating the T3. I have a lot of FPV planes we could definitely put this on. So for long range fixed wing guys, you guys would love this. And again, I just think it feels like it's a little more further along than something like Walk Snail, because there's just been some issues here and there with Walk Snail. And HD0 has been alright, but I wouldn't really fly HD0 at range. Some people have tested it, but I've seen a little jello here and there. It's again because I don't have silicone dampeners. But I think that the video looks pretty good here. 1080p at 60 frames per second, coming back from the DVR. So pretty easy to hook up too. 4 wires, power wire, ground, TX and RX, very similar to a lot of other VTXs out there. And if you can wire up an ELRS receiver, you can wire this up. But it's been fun. It hasn't really been a terrible experience. I expected way worse from this. So it is definitely flyable. It's definitely enjoyable. And like putting on a fixed wing, that would be where this thing should be. A 7-inch or fixed wing, you'll be fine. But again, subscribe to my channel. Check out my link down below if you want to grab one of these. And I want to say thanks to Buddy RC for sending this out for me to play with. Guys, take care, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.